Why are they so horny for crypto all of a sudden? As they continue to ruin the American reputation and tank the US dollar loses value on the international market. So as the US dollar tanks, the buying power of the US dollar in the country and across the globe is decreased. Crypto is decentralized, and its buying power is not contingent on the dollar value or the strength of any nation's economy.
The dollar is dying and crypto is replacing it. Today's video comes from the Clearwater Tax channel. His channel will be linked in the description of the video, so you can go check him out and support him. Why is the dollar dying, and how is crypto going to replace it? How is crypto actually replacing it now? If you want these answers and more, watch and end of the video. Follow us on Rumble. And guys, learn how to make a full-time living in crypto with courses and guides by visiting Angry's Crypto Academy, linked in the description below.
Trump and his tariffs will accelerate de-dollarization. So that means that other countries will walk away from the US dollar and the dollar system. So it's not going to happen overnight, but it's already been happening, and this is just going to make it happen more quickly. So Trump's tariffs sparked a crisis of confidence in the US dollar, and I want to explain to you what happened last week. So as you know, President Trump's reciprocal tariffs sent the stock market plunging. So normally, investors react by flocking towards US Treasuries for safety, and the dollar strengthens. But this time, that did not happen. Now, I want to show you this video clip of the co-founder of BlackRock saying that this is not normal. So please take a look.
What's very different here is normally when stocks go down as much as they have, there's a flight to quality, and quality becomes defined as U.S. Treasuries and the U.S. dollar. In this particular downdraft in the market, we're seeing Treasury yields go up and the dollar weaken. That's kind of an alarming trend. To me, that's flashing yellow that something is going on here more than just deleveraging.
Okay, so now you have people asking the question, is the dollar no longer the reserve currency of the world? And my answer is that the dollar is still the reserve currency of the world. However, it is losing ground. So here's the dollar's share as a global reserve currency since 2016. So as you can see, it's been a steady decline. So here's a 25-year chart, and it's the same thing, a steady decline from 72% to now 58%. And the fear is that we're going to see an acceleration of this de-dollarization. Okay, but I want to show you this so that you don't misunderstand the situation. You don't misunderstand what's going on here. So in second place is the euro, okay? But look at the percentage change. In 2009, it had a 28% share of the global reserve. Now it's around 20%, so it's actually fallen. So it's not like the US dollar is being replaced by the euro. No. Nor is it being replaced by the Chinese RMB. No, that's not happening either. So who is the dollar losing ground to? So the dollar has been losing ground to a little bit of multiple currencies. So all these currencies have slightly been gaining since 2016. The Japanese yen, the British pound, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, Chinese RMB, Swiss franc, and others. So this light blue line, that's a mixture of other currencies. So essentially what's happening is that the dollar is not being replaced by another currency. Rather, the dollar is being replaced by baskets of multiple currencies. Now somebody needs to explain this to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, because he's saying that we don't have to worry about the dollar being replaced by the Chinese RMB. But that is not the issue at hand. So please take a look at this video clip.
And again, when I hear all these stories, that the dollar is no longer going to be the reserve currency. If you end up with the Chinese who are willing to use their currency as a trade tool, that doesn't seem like a very good reserve asset to me.
Yeah, very good point. But the dollar has been plummeting. You know that. What's the impact of that?
Well, again, I want to reiterate the U.S. has a strong dollar policy.
Now, guys, I want you to think about something very carefully. Trump has expressed interest in weakening the US dollar to make American goods more competitive globally. A weaker dollar, catch this, a weaker dollar can lower the cost of US exports, encourage foreign countries to buy more American products, which could boost manufacturing and reduce the trade deficit. That's all massive stuff. Now, there's also another very important reason why Trump would want to weaken the US dollar. Check this out: reduced real debt burden. US debt is denominated in dollars. If the dollar weakens, the real value of the debt decreases relative to other currencies. This means that in terms of purchasing power, the debt becomes less expensive to repay. So he wants to weaken the US dollar so that by weakening the US dollar, it has a significant number of benefits. One, it makes our $36 trillion in debt worth less, actually. So the value of our debt declines, thereby, we can pay our interest and even do things possibly like refinance. And it will also make American goods more competitive globally. But another amazing point is the fact that Trump has been very focused on cryptocurrency and setting up a national crypto reserve. Why is he doing this? He's doing this because the crypto reserve, which will include more than just Bitcoin, will be the strategic reserve to replace the Federal Reserve. And when you replace the Federal Reserve, you're essentially replacing the United States dollar, because the Federal Reserve basically is propping up the dollar. No Federal Reserve, the dollar begins to slide. But with a strategic crypto reserve, that not only can create confidence in the dollar, because now you have actual assets, but it allows them to begin transitioning away from the dollar and no longer being exposed to an asset class that is controlled solely by the economy within the United States, because crypto is a global thing.
So if they do a rug pull and swallow up as much US dollars as possible and convert it into crypto, then as the US economy crashes, they lose no value. I think one thing that we have to remember about billionaires and oligarchs is that they are not limited to a single address. People like you and me, we might have a rental or a home or a single point where we live. These people travel across the globe on a very regular basis.
They have multiple passports in various different countries. Okay? They have passports in a variety of different countries. These people you have to remember the term globalist. They're called globalists for a reason. Their influence spans the entire globe. So you have to understand that when BlackRock, they control the money and they basically tell you whatever BlackRock says, that kind of signifies very much where the world of investing is going. And when BlackRock says that something strange is happening with the dollar and it's not recovering or behaving in the way that it usually should, you should understand that they're telling you and signaling that a dollar crash is coming. To make matters even more intriguing, BlackRock currently holds $50 billion of Bitcoin. That should be a massive warning for everyone and anyone to understand that we are going to move away. We are moving away from the dollar. And in just the next couple of years, everything will begin transitioning over to crypto. Within 10 years, the dollar may not exist anymore in its current form, as we may entirely be in a 100% digital crypto-based economy. It sounds like something out of Westworld, but it is not. It is a society that is upon us. And if you want to make massive profit, there are going to be two classes, men. There's going to be the desperately poor and disgustingly wealthy. Which one do you want to be a part of? You can be a part of the desperately poor or disgustingly wealthy. Don't let Elon Musk convince you that this whole universal high income is coming, where everyone will be getting checks for $10,000 a month and work will become optional. No, that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be something like out of The Expanse. That's a television show set in the future where there just are not enough jobs for everyone anymore. So now you have people who are ridiculously wealthy and affluent, and then you have the lower class who are living in the slums. But don't worry, they keep those people away from most of the city, so they have a specific area where they are relegated to. And in our case, we're going to call those tent cities. And Trump has already made it clear that he's going to create many wonderful, big, glorious tent cities. I told you that he just put a black guy in charge of the HUD department, and he's trying to get rid of FEMA. This black dude is not playing games. All right. He's talking about housing reform. And to my understanding, he would potentially be leading efforts for the unhoused. Okay. Based on what this dude is saying is you're not going to have a good time in FEMA. Your tent city, because they're going to rebrand it, all right? But it's still FEMA. You're not going to have a good time in tent city, all right? Tyrone is the king of tent city, and he's going to rule tent city with an iron fist. When he's hungry, he's going to drink. When he's hungry, he's going to eat. When he's thirsty, he's going to drink. When he wants some loving, he's going to get some loving, because Tyrone is the king of tent city, and he's not playing games. He is going to rule tent city with an iron fist. And that's why I keep warning you guys, it's time to begin learning about crypto right now, which coins to invest in, and how to make massive profit in crypto. And that's something that we actually teach you over in the Crypto Academy. Okay. We teach you that, guys. We teach you how to make a full-time living in crypto with our courses and guides. And you can gain all of that knowledge by visiting Angry's Crypto Academy, and that's linked in the description below.
And part of it is the overall, some of the bilateral, the dollar versus the euro, the dollar versus the yen.
Okay, now it's very important that you understand this. And I'm going to tell you what you can do to protect yourself. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing personally to protect myself in this situation of de-dollarization. So you have to understand that having the dollar as the world's reserve currency comes with many benefits, and that includes lower borrowing costs for the US government. So what's happening is the world has trust in dollars and the US government. So countries are willing to lend money to the US governments at lower interest rates, which makes it cheaper for the US government to borrow money. Now, another benefit that we receive is what they call exorbitant privilege. So this term was coined by a French official, and it simply means that Americans get to consume more than we produce without a currency collapse. Again, this is another perk of being the world's reserve currency. And we also get increased financial influence. So being the reserve currency gives us some serious geopolitical leverage. For example, we can impose or threaten countries with economic sanctions. Okay, so we get some good perks for being the world's reserve currency. However, countries have been losing faith in the US dollar. But why? Why is this happening? Why is there a loss of faith? I'll tell you it's for many reasons, but here are some. So first of all, it's because of the fiscal irresponsibility. Basically, the government, in conjunction with the Federal Reserve, has been printing trillions of dollars to finance government overspending. I mean, we're still running a deficit of 7% of GDP. It needs to be at 3% to be reasonable. That's the second reason is the US debt crisis. So the US government is now at a critical point in an unsustainable debt crisis with worsening interest expense. And as if those weren't bad enough to make other countries walk away from the dollar, President Trump imposes tariffs, which is upsetting our allies. And consequently, countries are further encouraged to de-dollarize. And we will be losing our perks that many of us have taken for granted, which means higher borrowing costs and higher inflation. So here's a recap of what happened. When Trump initiated the reciprocal tariffs, it's not just the stock market that started crashing. The bond market did as well. So the bond market had its worst week in decades. And again, this is not normal.
It is not normal, guys. And a lot of y'all are out here saying cash is king, like Christ is king, and you're going to see what ends up happening to you. All right. You put your faith in cash and not in Christ, and this is what you're going to get. Okay. I don't put my faith in crypto. I put my faith in Christ. And I believe that crypto is basically designed for a trustless world. If something comes and replaces crypto, I will tell you that. I will guys, if something came along and was going to replace crypto, I don't foresee anything coming right now. I think that it will be there will be an evolution of crypto. All right. But I don't think that it's going to be replaced. I think that it's going to evolve into something else over time. But if crypto was being replaced or evolving into something else, you think I would keep on telling you going Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin? No, bro. I would literally say this is where things are moving right now. It's time to move to the next thing. All right. A lot of you are not flexible. A lot of you are baby boomers, or you have the baby boomer mindset, and you're out here singing singing cash is king like Christ is king. And then guys, you're basically playing with the devil's money, All right. That's the devil's money right there. There is no crypto is designed for a trustless economy, for a world where you don't trust the other person, to be honest. And we can see why it's so valuable. We're moving towards a trustless era where no one trusts anyone anymore. And the whole trust me, bro thing is completely done. I will never trust it. Guys, one of the worst things that a person can say to you is trust me. Okay? Trust me. No one should say trust me especially if I don't know you. All right? In fact, even if I do know you, don't say trust me. Trust is earned. Trust is earned. You don't have to tell me to trust you unless I already trust you. All right? And you're saying, listen to me. For example, you've earned my trust. You're one of my confidant. You're a person who I confide in, and you already have my trust. And I say, I want to do this, and you go, trust me, don't. What? All right. But when you say trust me, don't, now you need to tell me why. You have to earn that trust. Really, really earn it. And even then, I will still always be critical of you. I'm not just going to trust someone who has earned my trust. I'm going to be critical of what they're telling me and explore it regardless. Okay. But someone who has not earned my trust, oh, now I'm going to be I may completely dismiss you. If you tell me trust me and you have never earned my trust, I will completely dismiss you. If you tell me trust me and you have earned my trust, I'm going to look at what you're telling me critically. Okay? So I am critical of people that I trust, that have earned my trust, and I am completely dismissive of those who have not earned my trust and are asking for it. Instead of saying, trust me, you should be saying, check this out, do your research, and then get back to me. That's how you gain someone's trust. You don't ask them for your trust, you don't ask them for your trust. They don't ask you for your trust. They give you knowledge. They give you information. They may guide you in the right direction. They tell you to do your research so that you can develop trust for yourself and what they're trying to sell you on. So we are heading into this world now where no one trusts anyone else. And forget about national currencies. The yuan is not, guys, the yuan is going to collapse. The yuan is going to collapse, especially if they don't finish this trade war as quickly as possible. It's only going to accelerate it and reveal more and more just how little value the yuan actually has. So don't think that the yuan is going to replace cash, because I hear some of you idiots saying that, oh, it's the yuan. The yuan is going to basically overtake the dollar, and it's going to become the new reserve currency of the world. Are you out of your flipping minds? Most countries don't trust China. They don't trust China. They're in bed with China because they want their money, but they do not trust their economics, These countries are doing business with China simply because China is, I believe, the second largest economy in the world. I don't know if it's still Japan. I think it's China now. All right. They're only doing business with China because of China's money, but they don't actually trust China's money. They trust the American dollar way more than they trust the Chinese dollar, and they're increasingly losing trust in the American dollar. You think if they've lost trust in the American dollar, they're going to jump into the Chinese dollar? No, they're going to jump into BRICS. BRICS is not simply a cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency they've talked about using with BRICS is called the unit. All right. And that would be a cryptocurrency that would be allowed for cross-border payments, similar to Ripple or XRP. No, BRICS is actually a platform. It's a decentralized payment platform that would allow for different cryptocurrencies and to be traded, and different forms of crypto to be traded and used to settle payments. That's what BRICS is. It's a system to settle payments between countries. But have no doubt that they're not going to stop with BRICS. Donald Trump cannot stop BRICS. Donald Trump could only buy time. He 100% could only buy time. Look at what happened with the SWIFT system, where the United States can confiscate a country's funds. Can confiscate a country's funds that are stored in SWIFT, take that money away, and give it to someone else. So they can take away $500 million if your money is stored in SWIFT. That's the wiring system that's used to move money around the world. So some countries, a lot of countries have money stored in SWIFT, in a SWIFT banking system. Who controls the SWIFT banking system? The United States, meaning the United States, any money stored in a SWIFT-based account can be taken, frozen by the United States, and confiscated at any time. And I won't say who, but not too long ago, the United States confiscated about $500 billion and decided to reallocate it. There will be no more trust. There's no more, trust me, bro. That ship has sailed. That is done.
Bonds go down in value. We're talking about US Treasuries. The yields rise. In other words, interest rates go up. And we have not seen interest rates shoot up this quickly since 1982. But to clarify, we are not at the highest interest rates right now. The concern is how quickly interest rates are rising. Anyways, because interest rates on US Treasuries are shooting up, it's been affecting everything. Mortgage interest rates have shot up. It's going to be more expensive for the US government to borrow money, and higher interest rates put a drag on the stock markets. So the bond market sell-off rattled the financial markets, and President Trump took notice because he understood the implications that his tariffs shook confidence in the US, which hurts the demand for US Treasuries. So this was another reason for President Trump to pause the reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. Because if the bond market crashes or becomes dysfunctional, then it's going to be like 2008 all over again. But President Trump denies that this was the reason for the pause. Please take a look at this video clip.
Believe me. Was it the bond markets that persuaded you to reverse course?
No, I was watching the bond market. The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy. I think everything had. Well, the big move wasn't what I did today. The big move was what I did on Liberation Day.
And I also want to show you this video clip of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying that the bond market crashing had nothing to do with their 90-day pause. Of course, it's up to you whether to believe him or not. So please take a look.
I want to say something very quickly, guys, regarding the boomers and crypto as well. So you have to understand something. As the value of the dollar declines rapidly, that means, it's not going to result in Social Security skyrocketing. Oh, we're going to give you more Social Security money to make up for the adjustments in living expenses. Guys, the baby boomers are crazy enough to believe that they can live off Social Security. which is not happening. Now consider a collapse of the United States dollar that is reserved in dollars, which is settled in dollars and not in crypto. And now you can understand exactly what's going to be happening. The boomers control 80% of the stock markets. All right, 80% of the stocks. Where's most of their money invested? In 401k plans, IRAs, all of these different things that are being traded, publicly traded on the stock markets. We got a little bit of a preview. We got a little bit of a preview of what happens when the United States dollar starts to sink, when the markets start to go downhill, when confidence is lost. The boomers, their 401k plans, their IRAs, all of that stuff, they began to crash and crash rapidly, and there was a lot of panic. All right, in an instant, a lot of the retirement plans of these people were wiped out. And if Trump did not do something quickly, the boomers would likely have begun selling off. They would begin selling off and trying to move their assets into another asset class. What's coming this year, more than likely, by this year or probably in our next year, Bitcoin-based ETFs, crypto ETFs, not just Bitcoin, but a variety of different ETFs that hold crypto as assets. All right. And ETFs are basically funds that hold certain asset classes on the certain asset classes, shares of certain asset classes, and they trade directly on the stock markets. All right. So, for example, you have to hold a certain amount of if you have a gold ETF, you have to have a certain amount of shares within that. You have to be trading a certain amount of shares of gold. All right, certain amount of units of gold. If you have a crypto-based ETF, you're going to end up and they basically are gold bond ETF. If you have a crypto-based ETF, you actually have to have the exact amount of crypto that you're going to be trading on that ETF. So they're going to have to go and buy all of these Bitcoins. If you want to, if a fund wants to start trading Bitcoins, they're going to have to go and buy all of these Bitcoins so that they're able to trade them. Think about it. And who do we know are greedy? Well, the boomers, they want all the toys for themselves. The stock markets are beginning to crash, but they need something that's more stable that allows them to easily get involved in. What are they going to do? They're going to move over to cryptocurrency that is now a reserve currency. So they want to hold Bitcoin, they want to hold other cryptocurrencies, but they're not smart enough or are savvy enough to go and purchase crypto themselves and have a wallet and all of the other stuff. They're not going to do all that stuff. The boomers are lazy and they're old. All right. So but they do know how to trade stocks. They do know how to use brokers. So guess what? They're going to go and speak to their broker and tell their broker that I want this many, I want some Bitcoin. And now their brokers are going to buy Bitcoin from them for them through that ETF. So while they'll never physically hold Bitcoin, they will have exposure to those Bitcoins as all of the shares in the ETF have to be equivalent to the Bitcoin that it represents. This is going to cause the value of crypto to skyrocket immensely. And then when you consider the fact that treasury bonds very soon may be linked to stable coins, as well as companies like Apple will be able to issue, in theory, their own cryptocurrencies like stable coins that could be linked to treasury bonds. That's another factor to consider, that we are moving away from the dollar and into a digital era of digital based coins that will fall under regulation. So the next time you make a purchase in 5 years, 10 years from now, it won't be using the dollar. It will be using Apple coin or PepsiCo coin or Google coin. Okay. One of these coins. And even though it is not backed by the FDIC, it would be backed by it may very well be backed by the United States government, because it will be linked to the Treasury. Wake the hell up and realize the world is changing rapidly. And if you don't take action, you are going to get left behind. And that's why I keep on warning you guys to get into crypto right now. Begin learning right now so you can learn how to make a full-time living in crypto. And you can discover that by using our courses and guides in Angry's Crypto Academy, which I've said already is linked in the description of the video. Check out Angry's Crypto Academy, where we teach you how to buy, sell, and trade crypto. We offer courses like Introduction to the Staking Cryptocurrency course, Introduction to Mastering Cryptocurrency Wallets, Introduction to Buying Cryptocurrency for Beginners, Introduction to Day Trading Cryptocurrency for a Living. This is the most painless way to buy Bitcoins course, Introduction to Buying Bitcoins Anonymously and Through Secret Methods, Introduction to an Expat's Guide to Decentralized Banking and Off-the-Grid Living, Introduction to Cryptocurrency, the New Digital Frontier, and blueprints like the Crypto Freelancing Blueprint, Yield Farming Blueprint, the Expat's Crypto Blueprint, Escape the 9-to-5 Blueprint, How to Make Massive Profit Staking Cryptocurrency Blueprint, Cryptocurrency Wealth Blueprint, Crypto Trading for Dummies Blueprint, and more. The link is in the description of the video. Go check it out now.
Taking America is like, all right, I'm gonna have to extend my summer stay in the Maldives for a little bit longer. They can wait out the chaos, the calamity, the violence, the fear in the underground bunkers that they've been building, like Zuckerberg, or in a nation that'll be on the rise and friendly to them, all depending on how their plan goes, like Russia, or somewhere small and remote where the average person wouldn't even think that they've been escaping to. And it doesn't matter if the flight system or the aircrafts are in chaos, they have their own private means of escaping.
He said something very important. They have their own means of escaping. Like I said, guys, you're going to have the desperately poor and the disgustingly wealthy. Okay? The desperately poor and the disgustingly wealthy. Those are the two classes you're going to have. Many of you think that you're going to be somewhere in between. No, you're going to be in Tent City, and Tyrone is going to be teaching you your lesson like your ABCs in Tent City. Because clearly you didn't want to listen to Uncle Angry, so now you're going to have to listen to Tyrone, all right? And he's not playing games in there. Tyrone is not playing games. He's not tolerating any nonsense, all right? Foolishness. Absolutely none of it. There will be none of that in Tyrone's house, all right? And if he has to discipline you like a disobedient child, he will discipline you, all right? And you will obey, or else, well, you know, some people, like, you know, like I said, some people don't make it, some people don't make it, all right? You don't challenge Tyrone, not in his house, because he's not going to take it.
Mr. Secretary, how much of this decision was driven by the bond market cratering overnight? What is happening with bonds? Is China selling their bonds?
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today, and all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along, and that, you know, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors.
Okay, but I'll tell you this to help you understand the situation, how this works. So if you're a different country and you want to trade with the US, then you need dollars, but you're not going to hold literal US dollars. You're going to hold US treasuries. But if there are tariffs, then you're going to do less trade with the US. And if you're going to trade less with the US, then you're going to need fewer dollars. And if you need fewer dollars, then you're going to sell your treasuries. And that's going to crash treasuries and cause interest rates to go up. And for a high-level overview, I want to share with you this quote. So according to currency strategist George Saravelos from Deutsche Bank, he said that the market is reassessing the structural attractiveness of the dollar as the world's global reserve currency and is undergoing a process of rapid de-dollarization. Okay, so me personally, what am I doing to protect myself from de-dollarization? And this is something that you can do as well. So I've said this for years, and it's very straightforward. This is nothing fancy. You must diversify with gold and silver. So you can have stocks like I do, but also just diversify with gold and silver. So personally, I like silver better than gold, but I own both.
Guys, you can't do anything with gold and silver. I'm telling y'all right now. All right. If hell on earth breaks loose, what are you going to do with gold and silver? When the power doesn't go out, but the ATM stop working and the bank chains up those doors. You'll be walking around with gold. Hopefully you don't get robbed and saying, okay, I'd like to sell some gold. And they're going to undervalue it and undersell it, guys. That's if you're even able to make it. A lot of you are going to get screwed so hard, and you're going to think of Uncle Angry. Some of you are still going to be in your ignorance and your arrogance of saying it would have failed anyway, as people are becoming millionaires and billionaires with crypto, as people in the crypto academy are getting wealthier, richer than their wildest dreams, and laughing at a lot of you. You're going to be saying, you're a bunch of scammers. You're a bunch of scammers. Anyone who invested in crypto is a scammer. As everyone's becoming wealthy, as the global economy is shifting to crypto, as every country is now setting up their own crypto reserve, you're going to be in denial. And the reality is you're just hurting because you're going to Tent City, and Tyrone is going to discipline you in Tent City because you didn't listen to Uncle Angry. So that's your consolation prize, okay? You can scream and holler and shout, but it won't really matter because no one can hear you scream in Tent City. Let me correct myself. It's not that they can't hear you scream. It's just that they don't care.
So you can buy gold or silver on the stock market or in its physical form. So personally, I prefer the physical. You can call me old school like that, but I understand that that's not practical for
Guys, to even really take things home with you, right? So for example, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, how the whole stable coins that can be issued by companies like Apple and so forth, their cryptocurrencies can be backed by could be backed by US Treasury bonds. Well, check this out. So yes, companies that create stable coins linked to US Treasury bonds typically purchase those bonds to back the value of their stable coins. Stable coins are designed to maintain a stable value, often pegged to a fiat currency like the United States dollar, assets like treasury bonds. To ensure the stability, companies hold reserves of the underlying assets such as treasury bonds, which serve as collateral. The practice helps build trust in the stable coin's value and ensures that it is redeemable for the assets it represents. However, the specifics will vary. And now, stable coins will also do another thing. They will help to give those treasury bonds confidence. They'll help to give consumers, and not just consumers, but also countries, investors, confidence in the United States treasury bonds because people are using stable coins linked. And what are stable coins? Stable coins are cryptocurrencies. They are basically cryptocurrencies that are typically pegged to a specific notion and value. So, for example, the United States dollar. But in the case of something like Apple Coin, you may have an Apple coin that should represent one for one, but if there's a limited supply of Apple coin, and that's exactly what Apple likes to do, and you need Apple coin if you want to, let's for example, if you use Apple coin, then if people use Apple coin for payments, then they pay lower fees and so forth. This is exactly what Apple will end up doing. Everyone's going to use Apple Coin or Google Coin. They're going to try to trap you in their ecosystem using their digital currency that is now replacing the dollar. So instead of using dollars, you'll be using Apple. You'll be using Apple credits, all right, whatever the hell are Apple dollars or Google dollars or whatever the hell they call them. I keep telling you guys, don't mess around and don't listen to the naysayers because that's how you end up getting screwed up and missing out. The dollar is dying, crypto is replacing it. What ultimately will end up happening is that, as I said, you're going to have a lot of people who miss out on this. You're going to have the ridiculously wealthy and the desperately poor. Many of you will be a part of the desperately poor because you haven't invested in crypto yet. But don't worry, Tyrone will comfort you. I mean, I don't know if I'd call that comforting, but he'll definitely work with you. He'll definitely work with you on something. But yeah, guys, you're gonna have a lot of people living in extraordinary states of poverty, destitution, the death of the dollar over time, just completely collapsing. It's already dying, and you can see that BlackRock is basically telling people, this is their way of telling everyone, prepare for a world without the dollar. Start diversifying and moving over into crypto, which is exactly what they've already done. They're not picking up gold or silver. They're picking up. They already have a massive reserve of Bitcoin, and multiple states are now discussing creating their own strategic crypto reserves. Countries like El Salvador already have a massive crypto reserve, and others are following suit. Even Argentina is going down this direction, and trust me, Mexico is going to do it. Mexico is going to do it. Every country is going to do it. All right. Canada, I'm not so sure about Canada because they'll probably be either our 51st state or either our 51st state, a territory of the U.S., if not a state, or a shell of their former self. So that's going to, if they don't comply and get on board. But that's really where things are headed, guys. What do you guys think regarding everything we discussed here? The dollar is dying and crypto is replacing it. And if you don't move soon, many of you guys are going to end up in a TTC, Tyrone 10 City. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA and walking away. And cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.